Hello Year 10, Mr. Clack calling. Just walking through the next double period for the restaurant project, period 7 and 8. And we're in the drawing and recording segment of our learning wheel, the orange segment. So lessons 7 and 8 will be to do with mark making. It will be a 2-hour lesson, and your learning aim is to explore the potential of drawing, focusing on texture and tone. Success criteria: you're going to need to show evidence of working in ballpoint to produce effective outcomes, showing understanding of your techniques. So before we move on, just want to celebrate some incoming work from students in Year 10. Got some good work here from Rowan. He's produced a really nice mind map restaurant with all kinds of illustrations. Sarah Lamming also has produced a good scenario page, a very eye-catching piece of work. Also, Alex has taken some really good inspiration from Mike Roden, his sketchnoting techniques, and produced some really awesome looking illustrations. Well done, you guys. Okay, for a starter for 5 minutes, what I want you to do is to relate the textures on the right hand side of the slide to things that you can find in your kitchen. So think about where you might find some of these marks. So I've put, so for example, the circular scribbles look to me like bubbles on sweet corn, and the woven patchwork looks like fabric of a tea towel. So what do those remind you of, those textures? Can you fill out the ones with the question marks next to them, please, for 5 minutes? Okay, task number 1, 45 minutes worth there. I'd like you to draw out a grid of 9 squares in your book. Make sure the grid squares are at least 3 by 3 centimetres. Then go to your kitchen and select a range of foods with interesting textures. For example, there's a whole list down there, so anything through bread, pasta, rice, spices, vegetables, biscuits, whatever you can find that's got an interesting texture on. I want you to record the textures using a biro, a ballpoint or a writing pen. Doesn't matter what colour you use, you can even use a mixture of colours if you want. And make sure you fill each box completely like an example. Now, it's much better to work from real life, but if you get totally stuck and can't find things to draw, then you can look online for images of close-up food texture. But do your best to try and find real objects. If you're in school, you could look in your lunchbox. So here's a few that I did. I just played this demo video. So I looked in the kitchen and I went into the fridge and I found some little bits and pieces. I found a floret of broccoli, which has got some really nice textures and tones. So I used my ballpoint pen, a black biro to fill that out. Also some blueberries. Also making sure you know which direction the light's coming from will give you more emphasis on your form. A bulb of garlic with some interesting papery textures as well. And on the top of it, all kinds of interesting textures too. A mushroom, also cut in half, that gave some really good textures and techniques. So task 2, for an hour, I'd like you to choose the food item that you found the most interesting and sketch it out lightly in pencil. Thinking about composition, we'll give you some information about that on the next slide. Apply texture and tone to your drawing using marks. So framing and composition. When you're drawing your food item, you could use your phone to try and track down an interesting crop or composition, but please don't draw from your phone because it's much different from drawing in reality. You'll get a much better experience drawing from reality. So if you're drawing something like oranges, 1 on its own could look a bit boring. So 3 might look a little bit more interesting. You can try and use the rule of thirds. Think about the angle and the viewpoint. It's good to see the container as well as the contents. So maybe the angle works better at that rather than a bird's eye view or a horizontal view where you see too much of the bowl. Sometimes it's good to have a crop or a close-up. So have a play with that before you go on to draw your food item. And when you've done that, for the last 5 minutes, I'd like you to answer the following questions. I'd like you to do a review, something you enjoy about today's lesson, something you'd like to spend more time on, and something you'd like to do next. Then, as usual, upload please to Show My Homework so that your teachers can feed back to you and give you plenty of achievement points on Show My Homework. That's great. Thanks very much indeed, Year 10.